Hey everybody, and welcome to MCU Q&A, the show where we take your questions about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, us at MCU Exchange, or anything else that's on your mind. I'm Doug Herring, and with me today, as always, is Addie Bree Hayes.
Hey everybody! How are you doing, Doug?
I am doing very, very well. I'm excited to answer some questions.
Oh, me too. I love this show.
Me too. Alrighty. So our first question has come from a lot of different people. We get asked this multiple times on every single episode, so we thought we'd just kind of take it as a general question. Do you ever think we'll see the TV characters show up in the movies? And if so, how?
I think we will only see, if anyone were to show up, I think we would see the Defenders. New York City is such an important city.
That's a good point.
A lot of the movies take place at some point in New York, so I feel like there's a high chance that they would be shown. I mean, Spidey might know them. I really don't think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters will ever go back or go to the movies, mainly because of Ike Perlmutter. It seems like in the first two seasons, we had a lot more connection between the movies and the TV show. And then this past season, in Humans, no one ever said anything in the movies, and it felt very segregated from the movie universe.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying, but as far as segregation goes, the Netflix shows have even been more separate from the movies, because all of the characters that we've seen appear on both movies and TV shows have shown up in the movies first. Granted, we've never seen a TV character show up in a movie, but all the movie characters that have shown up in TV shows, whether it's Sitwell or Fury or Coulson or Agent Carter or Lady Sif, they've shown up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter.
Yeah.
None of them has shown up in a Netflix show. And you mentioned Ike Perlmutter. He's in charge of all of Marvel Television.
That's true.
Not just network.
But I do know that, doesn't Charlie Cox have in his contract he can appear in one movie?
Oh, I'm sure all of them have that. That if Marvel wants them to appear in a movie, they have to.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a standard part of everybody's contract. It's not just Charlie Cox.
I just think there's a higher chance, especially just with the location in New York City, and Spider-Man specifically fights in New York City right now,
right? From
what we know. How would he not run into one of those people? So
I see what you're saying, and I agree that the Netflix characters would fit better in the movies, but ultimately, I don't really think either the Netflix or the TV show characters are going to show up in Infinity War.
Maybe they'll show up in Spider-Man. It's
I don't know, because Iron Man's showing up.
Oh yeah, they already have Iron Man. Maybe Doctor Strange. I don't know. It's just
I don't think there's any movie where it makes sense, and more so than that. The Russos have been asked this question, and their response was basically, it'd be cool, but we got to worry about getting all these movie characters in there, let alone the TV characters, which I think was their diplomatic way of saying, probably not going to happen.
I just want to see Jessica Jones and Spider-Man meet.
I want to see the Netflix characters as bad as anybody, but I think that if it happens, it'll be years away, not in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I'd love to be wrong, though.
Please.
Our next question comes from Garanjo. What is your favorite Spider-Man film? Addie, I know you feel very, very strongly about this, so I'll let you go first.
Okay. Y'all are gonna hate me, but my favorite Spider-Man movie is The Amazing Spider-Man. Hold your horses. I have a strong distaste for, oh my god, his name just left me.
Tobey
Maguire. He is kind of like Kristen Stewart for me, where he kind of just looks in pain or constipated all the time.
Yeah,
I see him as Peter Parker, he just this pathetic person.
That's good though.
No, but not the right pathetic. He wants pity. And I'm like, no, I really don't like Tobey Maguire. So it kind of ruins all the Spider-Man. No, it doesn't ruin all the Spider-Man trilogy for me, but I really like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man more, which means a lot to me. I know. Okay. So you hate me.
I don't hate
they're gonna hate
but
me.
My answer is the correct one, which is Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man. No, okay, here's the thing. I actually agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of Tobey Maguire. I don't hate him like you do. And I think that Andrew Garfield, as an actor, is really solid, and he had a pretty good handle on Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. When he was quipping and making jokes in the Spider-Man costume, that was Spider-Man. But the Amazing Spider-Man movies show just a complete lack of understanding of the Spider-Man character. One of the things that I loved about Tom Holland's performance in Civil War is that they got the character. He was poor. He was a dumpster diver. He cared about the little guy. He wanted to fit in, but knew he couldn't, even though he had these amazing gifts. He wanted to impress the Avengers. He was funny, or at least trying to be funny.
Which made him funny.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And
wow, they got a lot done with his little little part.
He had that one scene with Tony in his apartment. Just was like, okay, we understand what makes this character beloved by many. Whereas Amazing Spider-Man, both movies, were the opposite of that. They just obviously didn't get why people like Spider-Man. They made him like this skater punk who he was just like this unlikable little shit.
Well, I mean, Andrew Garfield is already pretty old too. Like, he was like 29 when he was cast.
I don't care about the ages.
No, I'm saying
much.
like he looks old too.
Yeah, he does, and so does Tobey Maguire when you compare them to Tom Holland. Yeah. But Spider-Man 2, I talked about Civil War. The Raimi trilogy, they got the Spider-Man character. They really understood the whole with great power comes great responsibility thing. They made Spider-Man this kind of pathetic kid, or adult playing a kid, who nothing really went well for him. And, I think that maybe they didn't get Spider-Man quite right, but they got Peter Parker right. They understood why this character was so great. And that understanding, plus Spider-Man 2 has Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, which is one of the great comic book villains in the past 20 years. In fact, I can't think of a better one, really. Loki's great, but I think Doc Ock was better in that movie. Mm-hmm. So Spider-Man 2, I think, holds up to this day because they got the character in a way that the Amazing Spider-Man movies really didn't, and that luckily Civil War totally did. Yeah, no, I mean,
once Spider-Man Homecoming comes out, that'll be my favorite, hands down.
Right.
So I'm just kind of waiting for that. I already love Tom Holland more than Andrew Garfield, and if they don't do as bad as a job as they did with Amazing Spider-Man, it'll probably be my favorite.
Fair enough. All right, our next question comes from Mollywoodstudio, who asks, do you think Wanda Maximoff will show up in Doctor Strange? And if so, how?
No, I don't think she'll just show up because they both, do magic. I feel like that's why a lot of people think that, too.
Yeah, I think that's the logic there.
Even people, when I was an extra on set, people all thought she was going to show up.
Just
because she's magic. And, one of the grunts of Mads Mikkelsen kind of looked like Elizabeth Olsen, and everyone thought it was her. And I was like, no, it's not. Because you see the grunts. They don't look like Scarlet Witch.
Right.
So I think if anyone were to show up, it'd be Spider-Man, I guess, because it's in New York. Or one of the now official Avengers to recruit Doctor Strange, but I think mostly Spider-Man.
You think Iron Man could show up in a post-credit scene to recruit him like Nick Fury did?
Yeah, maybe.
I could kind of see that. I agree with you. I don't think Wanda's showing up because she's on the run right now.
I mean, she's probably one of the most wanted secret Avengers right now.
Right. I think that they will have a really interesting relationship in the future, but not in this movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, your comment about Spider-Man makes a lot of sense to me because for an in-universe reason, they both live in New York, but also when you just look at it from an outside perspective, the business reason, it makes total sense that Sony would want Spider-Man to show up to get people excited for Homecoming.
Yeah.
So they say, give him a scene in Doctor Strange so people who see Doctor Strange get more pumped for Homecoming. Yeah. I could see Sony wanting Spider-Man in as many Marvel movies as possible because even if it's just for one scene or a post-credit scene.
I do too.
So do I. Because, I think, especially after... Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 made money, but it still underperformed.
Yeah.
Sony needs their first standalone Spidey movie to be $1 billion movie. Mm. So they get Iron Man, they pump him up in Civil War. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Sony said, we want Spider-Man in all of your 2016 Marvel movies so that we can get people to come out for Homecoming when it comes out.
Yeah, I think he'll be in the most movies after this phase.
I think so, yeah. I don't think any Avengers will show up. Definitely not Scarlet Witch. If it does, it'll either be Iron Man in a post-credit scene or just Spider-Man quick cameo or something.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Gregurt asks, if you could make a Marvel game, which type of game would it be?
I think kind of like an open world Guardians of the Galaxy would be awesome, where you get to just kind of go everywhere in outer space. You can do these jobs and you can play each character. They have their own set of abilities.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be really, really fun, and the dialogue would be like a hilarious, awesome action video game.
Like, you're talking like a sandbox, like a Grand Theft Auto or Skyrim type game?
Yeah.
That would be really, really cool.
Especially that you don't have to follow the story. Like
Right.
in Skyrim, like you can do the story, but you can do all these other side missions first, and then do the main story. Or whatever you want. I feel like that'd be totally awesome.
I like that idea a lot. My idea is, it's kind of been done, but for Batman, I would love to see an Arkham-style game with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because I think that the Arkham-style games and like Shadow of Mordor,
I love Shadow
those
of Mordor.
types of games, Daredevil's a perfect character for that because, like Batman, he has stealth, he has fighting, and certain scenes in both seasons of Daredevil just kind of stuck out to me as scenes that would be great video game levels. Like the scene at the railroad tracks in this most recent season where he and Elektra take out like 50 bad guys.
It'd be amazing.
That'd be a great level for a game. Plus, the Arkham games have like detective vision. They could really make use of Matt's unique way of sensing the world.
Yeah. It could be super awesome.
I think it could be really, really cool. But it might be a little too similar to the Arkham games, so.
Maybe.
But still. Okay, our last question for the day comes from Aidan Rutter, who asks, who would you bring into a Marvel film to improve the soundtrack? Aside from the obvious choices like John Williams, Danny Elfman, Hans Zimmer, etc.
I would bring in two people. I would bring in Johan Johansson. He's one of my favorite composers. He did Sicario and Theory of Everything. What I really love about him is that his scores, you can just listen to it after seeing the movie and like know what's happening in the movie. Theory of Everything, listening to it by itself, I just cry because you can hear the emotional parts, and it kind of has its own theme. The piano, it's really beautiful, but he can also go to the awesome, intense Sicario where it's really quiet and intense and powerful. So he's one of my favorites who I'd want to bring in. The other guy I would want to bring in is Michael Giacchino.
Giacchino, yeah.
Yeah. He has a huge presence with Disney already. He did Ratatouille, he did Inside Out, he's doing The Incredibles 2, he did Tomorrowland, Jurassic World, and he is doing, or has done, Doctor Strange. I feel like he has really great themes. I mean, Inside Out, Sadness, and Joy, their themes are amazing. I listen to all those soundtracks of every movie that I just said all the time. Ratatouille is awesome. He has a very varied resume. Mm-hmm. And including Doctor Strange on that is even more varied. So I think he will be a key component into the future phases, I think.
Giacchino sounds great. I think that's a really good pick. For me, and you mentioned themes, I think that there's one composer who has made the only two memorable themes in the MCU. The Avengers main theme and the Captain America theme. And that's Alan Silvestri. He also did Forrest Gump, Back to the Future, a bunch of other movies. He's amazing. He might fall into this like obvious category, so sorry if this is like a cop-out answer naming him, but I'd love to see him come back and compose actual themes for every character.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
Because I feel like other than Captain America, and his is barely used, I don't think it was used in Civil War.
I don't think so.
It was used really briefly in Winter Soldier. But yeah, other than Captain America and the Avengers, really no hero has a distinctive theme.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see that change. And I think Alan Silvestri might be the guy to do it. So he's somebody that I'd like to see, if not score movies, then at least score themes for the characters.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I would want my two guys to actually do the whole movie.
Right, sure.
But take his themes.
And both of those are great picks, and I agree with them.
I've thought a lot about it.
I know you have. That's something that you care a lot about. So,
yes.
Aidan, thanks for asking that question. That made Addie's day.
Yes, it really did.
Well, that's the last question we have. So that's the end of our show, guys. Please go into the comments below and comment with your question for next week. We love getting questions from you guys. We have tons and tons of questions we want to answer Fortunately, we can't answer all of them, but we like having more questions than we can possibly ever answer. So if you have a question about anything related to the MCU, go into the comments below right now, ask your question. Hopefully, you'll see it answered on this show.
Or anything about us or about mcuexchange.com.
Yes, and you can also email your question to us if you'd rather, and that email is mcuxshow@gmail.com, and we love getting questions by email too, so ask your questions now, we might answer them, and that's going to do it for us, guys. We will see you on Saturday for MCUX, or next Monday for MCU Q&A.